For more than 2,000 years, they have stood amongst the greatest mysteries of the ancient world. The Hanging Gardens of Babylon are routinely listed alongside the pyramids of Egypt, the Temple of Artemis, and the Colossus of Rhodes as one of the seven wonders of the ancient world. Yet, unlike the other wonders, there is a problem. No one has ever found them. No ruins have been conclusively identified. No Babylonian inscription clearly describes them. No contemporary account from the period of their supposed construction survives. And yet, generation after generation, ancient writers insisted they existed. They described a magnificent structure rising above the flat plains of Mesopotamia. Trees and flowers cascaded from elevated terraces. Exotic plants flourished in the dry heat. Water somehow flowed upward from the Euphrates River to nourish an artificial mountain of greenery in the middle of one of the world's greatest cities. Were the Hanging Gardens real? If they were, who built them? Why were they constructed? And how could such a remarkable monument disappear almost entirely from history? Welcome to History Unpacked. If you enjoy the content, consider subscribing. We post every week and we welcome any feedback. To understand the mystery, we must first travel to ancient Mesopotamia. The region between the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers gave birth to some of humanity's earliest civilizations. Here emerged cities, writing systems, organized governments, and vast empires. Among these cities, none became more famous than Babylon. Located in what is now Iraq, Babylon was already ancient by the time many of the history's better-known civilizations appeared. Its fortunes rose and fell repeatedly over the centuries, but it reached its greatest height during the reign of King Nebuchadnezzar II. He ruled from 605 to 562 BC and was undoubtedly one of the most powerful rulers of the ancient world. His armies conquered vast territories stretching across the Near East. He captured Jerusalem, defeated rival kingdoms, and transformed Babylon into the capital of a mighty empire. Ancient accounts describe a city of astonishing wealth and grandeur. Massive defensive walls surrounded it, monumental gates guarded its entrances, temples towered above crowded streets. The famous Ishtar Gate, decorated with brilliantly coloured glazed bricks depicting dragons and bulls, became one of the architectural marvels of the ancient world. Nebuchadnezzar was not merely a conqueror, he was also an ambitious builder. Inscriptions from his reign describe extensive construction projects throughout Babylon. Palaces were expanded, temples were restored, fortifications were strengthened. It was during this flourishing period that the Hanging Gardens supposedly appeared. According to the traditional story, he built the gardens for his wife. Her name is usually given as Amitis. She came from Media, a mountainous region in the east. Unlike the flat plains surrounding Babylon, her homeland was known for its hills, forests, and greenery. Ancient writers claim that she became homesick after arriving in Babylon. To ease her longing for the landscapes of her youth, Nebuchadnezzar supposedly ordered the construction of an immense terraced garden designed to resemble the mountains that she missed. Whether this story is true remains uncertain, but it's certainly romantic. A powerful king, a distant queen, and one of the greatest architectural projects in history built as a gesture of love. The tale has survived for centuries because it's difficult to forget. Yet there is an immediate problem. The story comes not from Babylonian records, but from writers who lived generations later. That fact lies at the heart of the mystery. The earliest detailed descriptions of the Hanging Gardens come from Greek and Rome authors. Among them were writers such as Diodorus, Strabo, and Quintus Rufus. However, none actually saw the gardens. All relied on earlier sources, many of which have since been lost. Nevertheless, their descriptions share certain common features. They portray a vast structure built in tiers or terraces. These terraces rose one above another, creating the appearance of a man-made mountain. Trees grew on the upper levels, shrubs and flowers filled the spaces between. Stone columns supported enormous platforms covered with soil deep enough to sustain large vegetation. Visitors supposedly climbed stairways through shaded walkways, while streams and irrigation channels carried water throughout the complex. One ancient description claimed the terraces rose approximately 75 feet high. Others suggested an even larger structure. Regardless of the exact dimensions, the image presented is remarkable. This is not merely a decorative garden, it was an engineered landscape, an artificial ecosystem constructed in one of the hottest regions of the ancient world. The technological challenge alone would have been extraordinary. Babylon's climate was harsh. Summer temperatures regularly climbed to extreme levels. Rainfall was limited. Keeping thousands of plants alive would have required a constant and reliable water supply. Ancient writers attempted to explain how this was achieved. Some described a system of pumps operated by hidden workers. Others referred to chain mechanisms or water lifting devices that continuously raise water from the Euphrates River. The exact method remains unknown, yet the concept itself was revolutionary. Long before modern irrigation systems, engineers may have created a mechanism capable of supporting a lush, elevated garden in an arid environment. If true, it would have been one of the most impressive feats of engineering in the ancient world. The mystery deepens when modern archaeologists enter the story. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, German archaeologist Robert Calderway conducted extensive excavations at Babylon. His work uncovered major portions of the ancient city. The Ishtar Gate emerged from the earth. Palaces, temples, streets, and fortifications were identified. Many hoped that the Hanging Gardens would finally be found. At first, there appeared to be promising evidence. Calderway discovered a series of vaulted chambers near the southern palace complex. This structure seemed unusual. Its thick walls and distinctive design differed from surrounding buildings. Nearby, he found what appeared to be a large well shaft. Calderway concluded that he had located the foundations of the Hanging Gardens. For decades, many historians accepted this interpretation. However, later research raised doubts. The location did not fully match ancient descriptions. Other explanations for the structure appeared equally plausible. Most importantly, no inscription identified the building as the gardens. The evidence remained circumstantial. As archaeological methods improved, confidence in Calderway's identification gradually weakened. Today, most scholars consider the matter unresolved. The Hanging Gardens have never been conclusively discovered, and that creates an extraordinary historical puzzle. Babylon has yielded thousands of inscriptions. Nebuchadnezzar himself left numerous records boasting of his construction projects, yet none clearly mention the Hanging Gardens. No one surviving Babylonian text describes them in detail we might expect for a wonder of the ancient world. For some historians, this silence is difficult to ignore. If the gardens were truly among Babylon's greatest achievement, why do Babylonian records seem unaware of them? This question has led some researchers towards a radical alternative theory. Perhaps the Hanging Gardens were real, but perhaps they were never in Babylon at all. One of the most influential advocates of this idea was the British scholar Stephanie Daly. After studying ancient texts for many years, Daly proposed that the gardens may actually have been located in the city of Nineveh. Nineveh lay hundreds of kilometers north of Babylon and served as the capital of the powerful Assyrian Empire. According to this theory, the gardens were built not by Nebuchadnezzar, but by the Assyrian king Sennacherib around a century earlier. Unlike Babylonian records, Assyrian inscriptions contain details of elaborate royal gardens. Sennacherib boasted of creating a magnificent landscape filled with exotic plants and trees gathered from across his empire. Even more intriguing, his descriptions describe advanced water engineering projects. Aqueducts carried waters across long distances. Canals supplied agricultural land. Complex systems transported water into the city. Some historians believe these descriptions correspond more closely to the legendary Hanging Gardens than anything discovered at Babylon. There is even evidence of a massive stone aqueduct near Nineveh, an engineering achievement far ahead of its time. If the theory is correct, Later Greek writers may have confused Nineveh with Babylon or merged traditions from different cities into a single story. The famous wonder would still have existed, it would simply have been attributed to the wrong place. However, not everyone accepts this explanation. Many scholars continue to support a Babylonian location or remain undecided. Nevertheless, the Nineveh theory demonstrates how much uncertainty still surrounds the mystery. More than 2,000 years later, historians remain divided. Whether they stood in Babylon or Nineveh, the idea of the Hanging Gardens reveals something important about the ancient world. We often imagine ancient civilizations as technologically limited, yet the people of Mesopotamia repeatedly demonstrated remarkable ingenuity. They built enormous cities. They developed sophisticated irrigation networks. They created mathematical systems, astronomical observations, and engineering projects that influenced later civilizations for centuries. A terraced garden supported by advanced water technology may sound improbable, but it would not have been impossible. The ancient world was capable of achievements that still surprise modern observers. Indeed, many archaeological discoveries have overturned assumptions about what ancient peoples could accomplish. Perhaps somewhere beneath the soil of Iraq still lie the remains of the structure that inspired the legend, or perhaps the truth survives only in scattered fragments of ancient text waiting to be fully understood. What happened to the gardens if they truly existed? This answer is uncertain. Mesopotamia has endured centuries of conquest, warfare, flooding, and of course, environmental change. Empires rose and collapsed, cities were abandoned, rivers shifted course, buildings constructed from mud brick gradually eroded back into the earth. Babylon itself entered a long decline after its glory days. Persian rulers took control, later came the armies of Alexander the Great. Following his death, the city slowly lost its importance. Over time, its monuments crumbled. Stone was removed for new construction elsewhere. Wind and sand covered what remained. By the medieval period, much of Babylon existed only as scattered ruins. If the Hanging Gardens had once stood there, centuries of decay may have erased it nearly completely. The same fate befell many ancient structures whose existence we know only from written accounts. Today, the Hanging Gardens occupy a unique place in history. They are perhaps the most famous missing monument ever recorded. The pyramids still rise above the Egyptian desert. The ruins of ancient temples remain visible. Fragments of other wonders survive, but the Hanging Gardens continue to hover between history and legend.